The script in process.php is almost complete and is now ready to send the email. We've prepared the message as both HTML and plain text. So after creating the HTML here, we need to add a little bit of extra space before the catch block. And then we're going to set the HTML body and add the plain text version. So we have the message object, we invoke its setBody method, we pass it the HTML version, and the second argument needs to be the content type or the MIME type, which is text/HTML. Then we can chain onto that, add part, and the first argument of that is the text version of the message. And then we set the content type again, it's text/plain. Next we need to initialize some variables. These will track the emails. The first one will be called sent. That will track how many have been sent successfully. We initialize that as 0. And the second one will be called failures. That will be an empty array which will track those that are rejected by the mail server. So we can now send the messages. The script uses the decorator plugin to send slightly different versions of the email to the user and the administrator, so we can loop through the replacements array to send the messages separately. So a for each loop, and we're going through the replacements array. And the top level element of the replacements array is the recipient's email address. So recipient, and the values are the replacements that are going to be inserted into our HTML and plain text template of the message. So we now just have the message object, and we invoke its setTo method. We pass it recipient, which contains the email address, and then we can count how many have been sent successfully. When we send the message using the mailer object and its send method, the first argument will be the message itself, and the second argument is our empty failures array to keep track of those that are rejected by the mail server. Now, depending on whether the messages are sent successfully or not, we need to redirect the user to different pages. And to save time, I'm going to copy the remaining code from snippets.txt, which you can find in the chapter 6, 06_05 begin folder of the exercise files. Just need to select everything there, copy it to the clipboard, go back to process.php, then after the for each loop, paste in that code. If both messages have been sent, sent will be to. So we use the header function to redirect to thanks.php. Thanks.php just contains a thank you message, and we then exit the script. If we don't exit at this particular stage, we know that there's been a problem. So we pass the failures array to count and store that as num failed. If num failed equals 2, we know that both have failed. So we set a variable f to both. But if num failed is only 1, and the email address that was submitted from the form is in the failures array, then we know that it is the submitted one that went wrong. So we set f to email. Otherwise we set f to reg. Now at this particular point you will need to log an error. Otherwise you'll never know what has gone wrong. How you do this depends on your setup, so I haven't included any code here before redirecting to error.php. And when we redirect to error.php, a query string is added to the end, setting the value of f to the value stored in the variable f, and then we finally exit. So let's take a quick look at error.php. It's mainly an HTML file. But here we're checking to see if f in the get array is not set. If it isn't, they've probably landed on the page by accident. But if f is both, we report there being a problem with the registration system and tell the user that their details have not been registered. If F is reg, we know there's a problem with the registration system, and tell the user that although a confirmation email has been sent to the address they supplied, the details were not recorded correctly. But otherwise, there's obviously a problem with the email address that was supplied through the form, so we report that. It's now time to test the form and the processing script, so let's switch to register.php. Now, although this should normally be done on a remote server, you can also test it locally. As far as PHP is concerned, uploading a file is simply moving it from one location to another. So I'm going to test this locally. There is my form. So I'll fill in my name, the email address. I'm going to use one of my testing ones. And then the photo. I'm going to start by selecting an image that's too big. So choose File, and this image here is 3640 by 5460 pixels wide. It's way too big. I'll select that, select Open, continue on. I'm going to have both days plus workshop, no special requirements. Then we'll have painting and photography, and I'm going to accept the terms and conditions. So everything has been filled in. Click Register. And please fix the items indicated. File exceeds maximum size 1 megabyte. So that is working fine. It's remembered my other details. So let's try a different file. I'm going to select this one. It's a PDF, so it's not an image. Select Register again. I'm told that the photo must be a JPEG, PNG or GIF. So finally, I'm going to select an image that will work. Select that one. These files, by the way, are not included in the exercise files. Just use some local files of your own. So select that and then register. And we go to the thank you page, so everything has worked fine. So let's check my email program. And here's the one that was sent to myself at testing@foundationphp.com. Confirmation of RuArt conference registration. There it is. There's the image embedded. And if we go to the other one, Art Conference registration for David Powers, and it's the slightly different email that has been sent there. And let's just check the attachment. In my version I have to go to File, Attachments, and there it is. It's called david_powers.jpg, which is the name of the original file, so it can easily be saved. So using SwiftMailer has simplified the process of embedding an image or attaching a file to an email, and the Decorator plugin has made it possible to send individualized versions of the message to different recipients.